Welcome aboard the National Geographic Explorer. We have just set off for an incredible voyage to not only the White Continent, Antarctica, but also to South Georgia and the Falkland Islands. We begin with the Antarctic Peninsula, which at this time of year is just waking up from its winter of slumber. The penguins are coming in, perhaps we'll see our first eggs of the season. The whales are just arriving, but yet it is still pristine and beautiful, snow covering just about everything on shore.
Drake Passage. It's the shortest route to Antarctica, but it's one of the wildest. From the tip of South America to the start of the Antarctic Peninsula is 600 miles of wind-lashed, wave-swept ocean, which has sunk many a ship. But it's the only way to get to the continent, and we're southbound across this notorious passage of water.
We're about to approach basically Deception Island. It's a first landfall for us for the crew. It's going to be a lot of fun. I've never done this before, so I'm looking forward to it.
This morning we've made a landing at Deception Island, which is actually the youngest part of the entire continent of Antarctica. The rocks here are less than 1 million years old, and in some cases the rocks we'll be walking on throughout the day are less than just a few decades old. This morning we've landed at Bailey Head, which is on the outside of the ring of this caldera. It's an amazing place which at the height of the season has over 100,000 pairs of chinstrap penguins. We're going to walk up and see the colony and then get a chance to see the incredible artifacts of geology, not only the layers of silt and the layers of ash that have been encapsulated inside the ice, but also a great chance to see a lot of the nesting birds, not just penguins, but pintado petrels, as well as other birds that have made their way up into the valley.
The sun is shining, the snow is melting, and the birds are really getting stuck into breeding this season. Lots of new eggs that have been laid just in the last week, which means the predatory skuas are very busy trying to get their meals while the penguins are going about the duties of getting started with the nesting. And it's a great way to start the cruise.
If you can't see stuff on the valley floor, you may need to position yourself to shoot that, because I can't see a lot of that stuff from here.
I have a lot of birds I can see between you and Steve, over.
This is one of the largest chinstrap rookeries on the continent. I think there are about 80,000 pairs of nesting chinstraps here. It's a huge place. Trying to take some semi-aerial photography, if you will, of the place from these high vantage points. Looking down on the rookery, we think we can blow that up with some good digital enhancement and be able to count nests. And what we're looking for is these birds that are laying down here, clearly sitting on a couple of eggs. They're going to look like gumdrops in the photograph. We'll get some poor graduate student back in the States to spend a couple weeks counting them, and then we'll have, probably for the first time ever, a really good idea about exactly how many birds are nesting here.
Well, it's a cacophony of wondrous noises, smells, visual sensations, and I think it's wonderful that the community has invited us ashore today.
To have a morning and a day like this to be your very first experience, it can't possibly get any better. I'm just blown away. It's wonderful.
Look at us, just move it.
Well, we've put the ship in the fast ice, which is connected to the shore. After a little while, the crew is going to test the ice, see if we can get out and take a walk on it, walk around the ship, see what it looks like in the ice.
And one of the most important things is that you will have to wear your life jackets out on the ice as you are walking on water, essentially.
What on earth is going on?
I don't know. People are going to nuts.
I can't wait because I love cold water. There's nothing better than good, solid cold water.
The water's supposed to be hot, and it looks pretty cold to me.
See you!
I think there's a drop-off out there somewhere.
It's colder in Maine.
That's warm.
Where is it?
Boy, that's an experience.
Palmer Station was established in 1970. It's one of the 3 permanent U.S. research stations in the Antarctic. A lot of the work that's being done here now is looking at climate change and specifically the retreat of the sea ice. There's less sea ice now than there was in years past, and they're trying to understand how those changes are affecting the ecosystem here.
So what you are looking at is called a Slocum glider. It is a electric powered sort of like a submarine, but a super low energy device that we put out in the ocean. It's unmanned, untethered, and it goes out and it collects tons of different types of data for us. And it saturates phytoplankton with light. The phytoplankton use that light and generate energy, which gives off a response. The sensor reads that response, and then we can look at that data and we can basically determine the health of phytoplankton. We can see how fit they are and how they're doing. And phytoplankton health is actually a really good indicator of ocean health. And since phytoplankton is one of those kind of base crucial creatures in the food chain, you want to make sure your phytoplankton's doing well, or you could have some pretty bad repercussions throughout the rest of the food chain.
Very scientific. And much of it I don't understand, but I can see their work is significant because it will allow people to understand what's going on out here as far as ecology is concerned.
Over the years, we've developed a really special relationship with Palmer. There are times where we have transported their personnel down from Ushuaia down here and transferred folks out. And overall, it's just a really wonderful relationship between the two communities. But of course, it's all part of the Antarctic community, and when it comes down to it, we're all in it together.
It was romantic because of its remoteness, alluring because of its hidden secrets, but so was terra incognita. The return voyage from Luna was a pleasant 3-day trip. The return from the Pacific, a year of battling tortuous seas. A long wait for the families who knew not whether their fathers, sons, and husbands would ever return. Now, space explorers are looking toward Mars as a reasonable and reachable destination. And for an explorer, it has a satisfactory quantity of unknowns. A Mars expedition, however, in both duration and potential adversity, would be more akin to the voyages of Captain Cook than it would to an Apollo flight. Exploration is a natural and enduring part of the human character, born of curiosity, determination, and perseverance. Exploration excites the imagination, helps enlarge the boundaries of human knowledge, and particularly when successful, satisfies the human spirit.
Well, we're out here in the Lemaire Channel. It's 6:30 in the morning, and we've dropped a Zodiac and come out ahead of the ship. Our goal is to shoot the ship coming through Lemaire Channel, which is one of the most scenic portions of the Antarctic Peninsula. What we're hoping to do is to get the ship in a good position. It'll be going by us, and try to put the ship against the background, the dramatic background. We've got a number of tall peaks here. We've got glaciers. The ice is just dripping off the tall mountains. And we're blessed with icebergs in the channel as well.
Lemaire Channel, a place of reflections, where we may reflect indeed upon the fact that our steel-hulled, ice-reinforced ship comes down here with all the best charts and the modern navigation gear. And yet, we are following in the wake of some of the great early explorers who came down here armed only with wooden three-masted sailing ships and driven by nothing but a sense of adventure. Chief amongst these was the great explorer Jean-Baptiste Charcot, who explored here 100 years ago.
You can go back as far as that island out there if you'd like to, way over there. Oh. Don't go to this island because it's all snow cliffs. And be careful getting into this brash ice because you'll get to the point where your paddle will not work anymore. Okay, you got your weapons, keep them there for the moment, and go have fun.
Spoiled here by the weather, and the wind has been very mild, which is super for us, and the kayaking was great. But this is the peak right here with the giant cairn. So, and what a view all the way around. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, great. And the blue of the icebergs. Can't ask for better.
A fin or a head?
That's a fin and a head.
Oh yeah, I see the fin now. It's just short of the big icebergs.
These are some big penguins. These are orcas, killer whales, and they're playing under the boat. It's very exciting.
Oh, cool. They're looking at us.
We are bumping through broken up sea ice and among big tabular icebergs. watching some killer whales that have surfaced, and initially when they were spotted, they were not too far away. They were spy hopping, sticking their heads out of the water near a wet-tail seal that was hauled out on the ice.
Beautiful. The most beautiful thing ever. Really, I thought you see them on TV sometimes and then they look really amazing, but this is extraordinary.
From their behavior, these guys sure look like marine mammal eaters. I mean, they're going along, they're poking along, doing little spy hops next to the ice to see what was on the ice. So you'd sort of guess they were after seals. I mean, at the end of the day, whether they're eating fish or they're eating seals or marine mammals, these animals are very, very efficient predators. And again, to travel along with them and watch them as they were working in such a beautiful environment, just pretty hard to beat.
Just at the end of a wonderful, wonderful day. We came down through the Lemaire Channel, explored the island south of there, and we are now where no ship has actually been at this time of the year. We've just made our furthest south, the bottom of the Grand Didier Channel. We reached 65 degrees, 45 minutes south, and that's barely 50 miles from the Antarctic Circle.
Of all this, mostly the big ice here is all aground. It's all stranded ice. So I don't feel too bad about being somewhat close to them. We're not going to be writing our names on them or anything. But this, you can see, this is glacial ice here. I mean, it looks like snow, but it's just snow coated. So I don't like to be too close to that stuff either.
Well, these bergs are incredible.
The tabular bergs are going to come from the larger ice shelves to the south, and they've broken off. There's been a lot of loss of ice shelf in the last few years, and they've been huge sections. You know, the size of states have been drifting about and then slowly breaking up and moving to northward.
Well, now we're going to go and take a look under the ice, under the surface. So here we are, the dive team down looking for interesting things to show. And we have a giant isopod. This guy, it's a gigantic creature, probably because it doesn't have any competition from crabs or lobsters, and they're just about every place if you look, but they do hide during the daytime. They're kind of ostrich-like. They like to stick their head down and stuff, and then at night they become more active. At Port Lockroy, we were able to show you some of the whale bones that were left over from that era, and you can see they're still having lipids come out of them, which is a very rich food source for some of the small bacteria and what have you. That big pile of skull, jaw bones and stuff. And then anemones, always anemones. These guys are not so much filter feeding as they're waiting for some poor little creature to walk by like an urchin, which they'll grab up and gobble up.
Hi, I'm Tudor Morgan, Operations Manager for the Antarctic Heritage Trust. We're at Port Lockroy, historic monument and Base A. This base was built in 1944 as part of a wartime operation and run as a scientific base up until 1962 when it fell into disrepair. The base is now run as a living museum. We have the base set out as it was in the 1950s, so you can see all the old foodstuffs probably behind me, and around the base the old science museum, the old lounge and the bunk room. It was originally set up to, so they say, to monitor German shipping, and also to give weather forecasts for the world, or to put meteorological observations into the world weather forecasts.
Incredible.
Well, I think it's one of these misinformation exercises during the war. So whether it was actually set up to monitor German shipping, which I don't think there was any at all, is a different matter. But nobody quite knows. It's still top secret.
It's absolutely marvellous. It's walking into a piece of a nation's history, but it's a very long way from a nation. Lord knows what we were doing here, but they were clearly doing a difficult job, and I'm glad I wasn't down here then. Not very comfortable, I don't think.
The beastie. I bet it gave them more trouble than they got out of it.
Problem.
Look at all this. Marvelous.
We've come to Nico Harbor after dinner this evening. It's an amazing view. We've got almost clear blue skies, incredible light on the glacier behind us, and this is our first continental landing of the trip. So to step on the Antarctic continent is a dream for many people. To be able to say you've stepped on the highest, the driest, the coldest, the least populated, and the windiest continent on Earth puts you in a very select club. It's a great evening here at Nico Harbor.
Here we go. Yeah!
Oh man, it's an amazing afternoon. We're cruising through Antarctic Sound with tabular icebergs, and what's unusual about today is it's calm. We have reflections from the clouds and the icebergs, and we have a true photographic emergency going on. Everyone's out on deck with their cameras and just enjoying the spectacular scene.
Well, we're standing on the Antarctic continent once again at Brown Bluff, kind of at the entrance to Antarctic Sound. I am very excited. Frankly, it's one of my very favorite places, and we're the first ship of the year to make a landing here. So the snow is clean, the penguins are clean, we've got Adelie penguins and Gentoo penguins nesting here. The Adelie penguins are beautiful. They're the prototypical black and white little man in a tuxedo, but it's really fun to see them so clean and shiny as they go out into the water, making a big rush past the leopard seal that's lurking out there somewhere. We haven't seen it yet, but I'm confident it's out there someplace. Brown Bluff, a great place.
Every time that one leaves, this one goes over and steals a rock from there and takes it over. And then that one brings a rock back and he turns his back. And that one leaves again, and that one goes and steals the rock, brings it back.
You see this one's getting bigger, that one's getting smaller.
But this one's not very smart because he's not putting the rocks in a nest, he's just laying them there.
Just standing there, just going like, I'm fine. I'm not doing anything. And then the minute he goes, boy, he is on it, going. Watch him. He'll do it.
Fast ice is the surface of the sea that's frozen solid, so it's sea ice. And what makes it fast ice is it's fastened on to land, so it's attached to land, and as a result it's a single sheet, very difficult for animals to move between the air and the water. And so usually you just find the wildlife is concentrated along the front edge of it.
And what it is like to walk on this body of land is unique to me. You know, right behind you is an amazing seal, just totally in peace and serenity. And that's what I'm drawing here from walking on this ice. And I just find it one of the most unique experiences I've ever had.
He's cute. He's got a sweet face. I am having the most wonderful time of my life. This is a lifelong dream. Since I was 10 years old, I wanted to see the wildlife in the Antarctic. Well, there are some crazies that are going to jump in the ocean, but my heart has told me no. I'm going to watch the others.
This is an absolutely fantastic day. I mean, who would believe we're on the ice twice? We're twice doing a polar plunge, and then you're face to face with a crab-eater seal. I mean, all this, and it's 10 o'clock in the morning already. Who'd believe it?
Well, we're here in the wind and the ice and the swells on the north side of Elephant Island. It's a bit of a messy sea. It gives us a good impression of what it must have been like for Ernest Shackleton and the men of the Endurance, the 27 survivors. They were all survivors, nobody died, but trying to approach Elephant Island, where Shackleton left 22 men in charge of Frank Wild and headed off for South Georgia. We've just had a wonderful encounter with two humpback whales. By the white color on the top of their long pectoral fins, I'm speculating that these might be Atlantic humpback whales heading up to the coast of Brazil in the next Antarctic winter. Maybe we've got some good shots, photographs of the undersides of the flukes, and we'll be able to compare them with whales that have been photographed farther north. The whales were doing repeated shallow and short dives, feeding on a swarm of krill. We could see the krill in the top 50 feet or so of the ocean by looking at our ship's sonar. So thanks those humpback whales, and thanks our captain for manipulating the ship under very trying conditions. Now we turn to the north and east, and we're on our way to South Georgia.
Our constant unspoken companion through this trip has been the legendary explorer Ernest Henry Shackleton. His tale is one of the greatest ever stories of adventure in the Antarctic. It starts out boldly and with great vision in December of 1914, and it ends up once he gets into the Weddell Sea, his own ship Endurance trapped and crushed by the ice, which leads to 9 months surviving through an Antarctic winter. Only at the very point they think they'll escape to watch their own ship crushed and sunk. Another 4.5 months drifting on the sea ice, waiting patiently for it to break up, only to discover when they come out of the ice at the end of the Antarctic summer that they are still nowhere to be saved. A week drifting in their boats finally gets them to Elephant Island, and now they realize the start of a second winter. Shackleton must rescue them somehow, and he and 5 companions make this extraordinary 600-mile journey across the Southern Ocean, which brings them right into King Haakon Bay, where we've arrived to see the tiny site of Peggotty Bluff, where they finally lay to rest the James Caird and plan the last amazing adventure of all. They must cross the mountains of South Georgia to find rescue in the whaling camps on the North Shore.
Yeah, we've got the food chain in action here. We've got northern giant petrels that have been fighting over the carcass of a dead seal pup. And we've just seen the changing of the guard. The bird that's in there now has been waiting his turn. He's made a couple attempts to get in there, and he's been repelled by a more dominant bird. It seems that the dominant bird, though, has had his fill of guts and fat and meat and moved off to wash his face. And now this bird has moved in very warily and realized, yes, he can feed without being attacked. So he's getting a chance to get his fill. And they're getting their heads right into the carcass, just like the vultures of the Southern Ocean, as they're sometimes described.
I'm trying to capture the moment as we've been instructed by Ralph, the photographer on board.
We've come ashore on Gold Harbor here, which is on the southeast corner of South Georgia, and you only have to take a look around you to realize just how amazing this place is. It is teeming with life. We're in one of the smaller of the king penguin colonies. The remarkable thing about this is it's non-stop because these king penguins go year-round. We've got a load of the Oakham boys here, who are the young chicks of the last year. They're almost a year old and they'll be molting in the next couple of weeks and going back to sea. We've got displaying male king penguins bugling behind us. They're pairing up for the new season. They'll be laying eggs in a few weeks. On the beach, we're still in the thick of an elephant seal breeding season. We've got bulls fighting, bulls waiting for females to finish suckling pups. We've got giant petrels strolling to and fro, ripping up the few dead penguins and unfortunately the few dead seal pups that are here. There are sheathbills, there are skewers. The sea is full of penguins. There are floating giant petrels. Everything is happening here. It's the middle of a South Georgia king penguin breeding season, and it's spectacular.
Well, it's just overwhelming here at Gold Harbor this morning with all the king penguins, the elephant seals, and the fur seals. There's so much to photograph here. It's really hard to choose. In any direction, there's an amazing image. But to get that really special image, it really takes extra effort, extra care, and patience to simplify the scene, to find two animals or a group of animals that are doing some kind of behavior and to isolate them against the background. But we're having a great time. Everyone's spread out along the beach, behaving themselves, moving slowly, and just having a phenomenal time.
This is absolutely phenomenal. These animals have no fear of humans. They walk right up. I had one pecking my boot. I've sat here for about a half an hour and I could probably sit here for another 2 or 3 days without getting bored. It's just incredible.
I have this captive audience. They've come dressed for the event, and I'm going to play Georgia on My Mind, and I can't wait to do it. It's really going to be fun, and we'll see what happens. We hope not to disturb the environment here, but to actually bring a little music and a little joy to these beautiful creatures.
We're having a wonderful day at Cooper Bay. After yesterday having a couple great landings and seeing the big vistas and thousands of king penguins, today is a chance to sort of settle in into any number of vignettes. And right here, right now, we've been sitting, watching, and some people really interacting with baby elephant seals, coming up and looking them in the eye, sniffing them on the shoe, trying to follow them home, crawling on their laps. It's a day you can sit in one place and let everything come to you, and the people who have done that today have had tremendous rewards.
We might take them to the circus.
You look at them and they look so cute and so little and so sweet, and then they come up on you and you just can't believe how heavy they are. And when he raised up and looked like he was going to slam back down on my leg, I had to move it out of the way because, you know, I think he could have broken my kneecap. He is just heavy, but really, I mean, it's just like the thrill of a lifetime. You just can't believe that you're here and this is happening.
Well, I've been told by just to stay still, and they'll come up to you if and they think they're feeding. So it was quite a thrill to have him come up and kind of grab my strap and back and forth. He's even right underneath us right now. He's just real friendly. He seems to be the one that's the hungriest. He likes his stick. He's infatuated with my stick. I think he thinks it's a female stick.
Trying to give the big vista and do the big picture that shows all of South Georgia is what I try and do, and probably everybody tries to do. But probably the biggest payoff is when you get into a much smaller little place and you sit still, not very close to things, and pretty soon they close in on you. And sitting by this little pond with all these elephant seals and king penguins around, and finding out pretty soon they're all around you, and the one that's not looking at you is looking at your neighbor. Photographically, it's tremendous. The close-ups, and when I found myself shooting, just picture the eye and reflecting people looking into that eye, and that's a rare opportunity.
These are macaroni penguins. We have not seen any of the crested penguins yet on our voyage. These are the first of the crested penguins. Probably the most abundant penguin in the whole wide world. Some of the subantarctic islands are very, very rich in macaroni penguins.
We're riding the waves and waiting for the big splash to hit the bridge windows. We should catch this one.
This morning we're in the Stromness Valley, which is a large glacially carved valley that lies behind the old whaling station of Stromness. There's a number of whaling stations in this part of South Georgia. They've all been abandoned, and in some cases they're starting to be cleaned up and pieces are being taken away. Stromness is significant in the story of Ernest Shackleton and his voyage when he tried to head down across Antarctica, was stuck in the ice pack, left from Elephant Island on his small boat, made it all the way over to South Georgia, an 800-mile journey, but then had to hike across the entire island, something that had never been done before. When he came down at the top, up above what is now known as Shackleton's Waterfall, he could hear the work whistle that was being blown at Stromness. He could also see the Z-folds in the geology here, two clues that told him he was in the right place. So he was incredibly elated to be able to have made this arduous journey all the way across, and now we're walking in his footsteps as we head down back towards the whaling station where he finally found rescue.
toast to the
Keep you warm and toast with the boss over.
Warm welcome.
Warm welcome. Yes, it is.
Yes. Yes.
And off King Edward Point, right over there, on January 5th, 1922, the boss suffered a massive heart attack. His last words to the physician, "You're always telling me to cut out something. What's it going to be this time?" And then he perished. His tombstone was erected in 1928, and on the back there is a quotation from his favorite poet, Robert Browning, that says, "I hold that a man should strive to the uttermost for his life's set prize." And I close with a quote from Raymond Priestley. "For scientific leadership, give me Scott. For speed and efficiency of travel, Amundsen. But when disaster strikes and all hope is lost, get down on your knees and pray for Shackleton." To the boss.
This afternoon we're visiting the old whaling station of Grytviken. It was one of the many Norwegian whaling stations that had been built all around the island beginning the 1910s and used all the way up until the 1960s. So it's one of the only whaling stations on South Georgia that people can visit in relative safety, given that they've removed the asbestos and a lot of the mechanisms and the mechanics that would have been blown around in high winds. So the outside, the buildings have been removed, but the mechanisms have been left behind. We've walked down from Shackleton's grave down into Grytviken, and there's two small museums here. They were put together by Tim and Pauline Carr, who helped bring pieces together to create a wonderful museum that involves the history, the cultural history, and the natural history of South Georgia. And the newest addition is the Carr Maritime Museum, just dedicated this year with a replica of the James Caird, the very boat that Shackleton and his 5 men took from Elephant Island all the way over to South Georgia.
We're just coming into Port Stanley, a wonderful sheltered harbour at the east end of the Falkland Islands. This is a crazy, far-flung, tiny piece of the last of the British Empire. It's a British set of islands right down in the South Atlantic, barely 300 miles off the coast of Argentina. And it was with that country that there was a conflict in 1982, which has really set the pattern for life here. Everybody talks about life after the conflict. But it's an extraordinary place. It's really rather more like a tiny piece of a Scottish island. They're tough folks here who make a living from sheep out on the wild moors of the Falklands. But we're going to get to visit some of their more far-flung islands on the west, which are still fabulous havens of wildlife.
Josh wants to know why we landed in such a miserable, windy, terrible, awful place. But he is so wrong. We've left the main settlement at Stanley and gone out to the outer, and this is really the outer islands. We're kind of way out in the western corner of the Falkland Islands. There are a series of islands out here called the Jasons. This one is Steeple Jason Island. We've got Gentoo penguins, our old friends from Antarctica. We're going to see some Magellanic penguins, but the real attraction is a huge, huge colony of black-browed albatross on their overturned kettle nests. And it's not a landing you can do very often. It takes a brave expedition leader and captain, but we are really fortunate to do it, to see these huge colonies of black-browed albatross.
The tussock pedestal in itself is a fantastic habitat for the birds that we get here. And as we get a little further, we'll get into some healthy stands of tussock, and you'll start to see some of these burrows underneath and get an appreciation for what a totally different world it is, especially inside a huge clump of them.
I don't think I have ever seen so many birds in one place. It is just beautiful. With the sun is out, it's actually sort of warm. It's just gorgeous.
Oh my gosh, it's just spectacular. We started out from the ship, didn't know if we could get ashore, climbed up the hill in the heavy winds and got up over the rise, and the sun came out, and the sea's blue and the birds are all over the place, and it's just something that you can't describe.
We're looking at conversant dolphins. I've seen them a few times. The first time I've ever had a chance to shoot pictures of them that look like anything. Looking down through the surface here and having swim right next to the landing area, and a bunch of them. Beautiful little, look like a dolphin designed by Disney. It could be the Mickey Mouse of dolphins, but really, really cool stuff. And riding the boats back and forth to the big boat, great way to start the morning.
cannot show anybody the pictures. You can't tell them about it. You have to come and live it and smell it and walk in it and work for it. You have to work for it. It's a lot of effort to get up early and get dressed and get out there in all conditions, and then you get there and you just think, where have I been all these years? This has been here and I hadn't seen it, and it just takes your breath away day after day after day. It takes your breath away and just fills your soul with admiration for whatever created all of this. It's pretty amazing, pretty amazing.
It's amazing and it's fantastic, and the thing that makes it spectacular is the wildlife. And you get to within 10 feet of them, or supposed to be 15 feet, and they come up to you. It's just incredible. It's beyond anything that you can prepare for in your planning.
It has been spectacular from beginning to end, and let alone the wildlife. Having just returned from sitting on a pile of rocks for the last half hour, gazing at albatross and the rockhoppers and their colonies, it's very humbling. That's probably, I'd say it's very humbling to come to terms with nature at this level.
I mean, to be able to sit amongst the wildlife like we have, I mean, it's almost prehistoric. Huge elephant seals, thousands, literally, well, hundreds of thousands of penguins, all the birds. It's just wonderful. I can't even hardly explain it.
Antarctica is awesome. As James Clark Ross has said, it is an indescribable delight, and that is what I had experienced. Thank you.
Here on Saunders Island. Yes! Anyway! Oh dear! Josh, this is it!